Hi, I'm Craig. That's my brother Brad. Welcome to Weekdays with Craig and Brad, episode 55. Brad, hello.
Oh my gosh, we did it. We made it to episode 55, another week down. And we're going to hope and pray to Jesus that we get to that next episode.
I'm sorry, Brad. You're not allowed to hope and pray to Jesus anymore.
Oh my gosh, you better cancel me right
the mob's
now.
Coming. The mob's
Get
coming.
Me out of here.
Yeah, it's coming for you.
We don't need any of that.
You better be careful. It's going to get nuts. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
I took that clip. I almost posted on my Facebook the other day. Just that clip. I just wanted to just let people know how I was feeling. You want to get nuts? Come on. Let's get nuts.
You know, I was trying to describe what this podcast is, and I was really thinking about it, and I was like, really, I think really what it comes down to is, I've used the phrase conversation about observations, right? Several times, but I really just think it's two brothers trying to navigate just what the hell's happening in the world. That's really what it's about,
Yeah.
Just trying to figure it out, so
we're trying to have conversations that don't seem to be happening.
Yes.
Like if you look online these days, there's no conversation, right? I mentioned the girl that sent me a message at the end of our show last night. I mentioned the girl that sent me the message about how she didn't like what I was posting on my own feed. And she's like, she said, I'm throwing your CDs out. I'm deleting your music. I'm not going to listen to you anymore. I've already unfriended you. And I said, well, I would have been happy to talk to you about it. And then she wrote me back and she goes, well, I would be happy to have a conversation with you about it. And I'm like, then don't close the door before you offer the conversation, before the conversation is even happening. And that's what's happening everywhere, all the time, all day. If you wake up and look online, there's no conversation, it's just I don't know, bunch of crap.
That's okay. It's okay. Did you actually start the conversation with her though?
I did.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
I said, yeah, because I said, look, I would have been happy to have a conversation with you, but it sounds like you already have made enough judgments about me that there's nothing I could really say. And then she came back around, you know why? Because I put myself out there. I said, hey, my door's always open. That's what I told her. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you mean you're not the jerk that I just assumed you were based on things that I was reading that I just didn't agree with.
Right.
And now we're having a conversation. In fact, I gave her my email because she had so many things she wanted to respond to. And I said, go for it. I said, let's have a freaking conversation. Do you want to come on my bro show? Maybe I'll bring her on.
I would love that. Be like, why you gotta be like that?
Yeah.
Why you gotta be like that?
Put her in the center. We'll be on the side and we'll just sit there and we'll do this. Why you gotta be like that? Yeah, exactly. And let me see. Well, yeah, that's how we're going to treat our guests when we have a show. Put them in the middle. We'll just cross our arms and be like, "What's the problem? Why you got to be like that?
Why you got to talk like that?
Don't do that.
I don't know.
Go on, get.
You're so mean. Why you got to be like that?
Yeah, don't be mean. I'm not mean.
I don't know.
You just think I'm mean. Get out of here,
man. I love that every night the audience is growing a little bit more and a little bit faster whenever we hit the live button. And that makes me very excited. It makes me very, very excited. I'm glad you guys are in. If you guys are popping in over at twitch.tv/CraigSkits. Hey, check it out. We got these new things. They're called lower thirds. They're very simple. They're very easy to use. I learned how to use this on this program. It's great. It's great. If you're watching over on YouTube, make sure you comment because it helps us grow with that algorithm. Oh, baby. Which is a great thing.
Feed the beast.
Feed the evil YouTube beast. By the way, people have been talking about we need to be on like other platforms and stuff. We actually technically are. We're on Library already. We're on a couple other ones. So like it's syndicated out through YouTube. So I think BitChute. I think we're working on. I'm working on BitChute. We may be on BitChute. I signed up for it a while ago. I think it should syndicate out there. I think it is. But so yeah, if you want to find us over on BitChute and Library, you can find us over there. That's alt tech, which I just prefer to call tech.
More tech, you mean?
More tech, yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But yeah, there's very, very good stuff. I'm excited to let people know we have going on. So look, tonight's show is going to be a doozy, a real doozy. I'm excited for this one because we had a great response after yesterday's show. People were really into it. I broke the show up into a couple segments on YouTube. So if you guys like those, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. It's important that you do that, and so you get notified on the full show and the clips of the show as well. So we'll see how it goes and see if the channel grows at all. I mean, it can't really go much worse than it has been. So it's like whatever.
Can't get any worse than this. Gosh.
There you go. Bill goes, "You go, girl." That's right. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
But this
Bring
is
it
great.
back challenge.
Hey,
I forgot. I have a bring it back challenge submission for myself. I got it. I got to send it your way. Maybe we'll wait. We'll hold off on it first.
Please do. Please do. Please do. This is wonderful. Hey, speaking of the hashtag Bring It Back Challenge, it's very important that we get to the stuff early on. Brad, remind everybody what the hashtag Bring It Back Challenge is all about.
Sure. This is where Craig and I invite you to film yourself using a phrase or maybe just some lingo that's been out of touch for a while in our culture. And this week we chose the phrase "You go, girl." And we just want you can either use it in a comment, in a chat. We'd love to see a video of you doing it. And if you do it, hashtag it. Bring It Back Challenge. Leave a link in the YouTube comments or somewhere easy for us to find it. We'll share it with you here whenever we see it. So
we got one today. I know Tom sent one in as well. We'll get to Tom's early next week.
Okay.
But this one is all about "You go, girl," and we're gonna have. Look, let's just be straight. All right. There's me and you, and then there's the real star of the show. It's Vilcher Drecke. All right. Vilcher Drecke has sent in another example of "You go, girl."
Yeah.
Let's check it out.
All right.
Oh yeah, you go, girl.
And there you go.
Beautiful.
You know what I love about that? There's so much love about it. Number one, that's the third consecutive week that Vil has sent something in with his dogs. Yeah. I don't know if Vilcher talks to humans at all. I think he's cool with that, and I appreciate that about you, Vil. I really do.
Yeah.
Number two, let's just go back and take a listen to this really quick one more time. Just listen to Vilcher. Just be quiet. Listen to his giggles. He really gets a kick out of this, even more so.
Okay.
Just take a look at it. He starts giggling before he even gets to it.
He already knows it's coming.
Oh yeah, you go, girl.
It's the little things in life.
Oh my
I
God,
love
sure
dogs
is.
so much. I love dogs. Huskies are beautiful too.
Oh my God, so wonderful, wonderful. Oh, that's great. Hey, we had a really good question. Lil Man says, so if you have more comments and less views, it will benefit you more than less comments and more views? Sure. Just comment. Just tell us whatever you want. I don't know. Just tell us about your stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Ideally, if you're commenting, you are viewing. So you're already viewing. So if you just comment.
Yeah. So just beep, boop, boop, in the chat. That'd be great. On top of the hashtag Bring It Back Challenge, we also have the YouTube comment of the day. I screwed that
you
up.
got the double D.
I double D, didn't I? Golly.
You can't double D, Craig. Do it again.
It's time for the YouTube comment of the day. Thomas Hernandez says, "Oh my Lord." You can read it.
I can't read that small on my screen.
All right. "Oh my Lord, if we held what I did from the age of 16 to 18 against me my whole life, I would be such a dead man. I have changed so much since then and have had my fair share of humble pie. People from my friend group at that age, when I rarely run into them, they exclaim shock at how much more mature I am than what they ever expected from me." And then check this out. You know why this is YouTube comment of the day? Because it spurred another YouTube comment of the day from Franklin Brooks. It says, "Ditto. Today, I may not look too different from now than I was when I was 16, but as a person, I am 135-degree turn from who I used to be. Not the polar opposite, because I wondered that I was like 135 degrees. That's pretty interesting. He goes, not the polar opposite of who I once was, but sure I've gotten close to that. But even then, my closest brothers still don't believe for certain I let my darker ways of yesteryears. Oh, see, like, listen how deep that is, and I love that. Yeah. I don't even know where the hell that came from, but I love the fact that they had that conversation and talking about how people can change and stuff.
No, it came from our last show, because I was talking about how much we were talking about the country and how the country is not what it used to be, but we tend to take everything that every mistake the country has ever made, and we hold it against the country nowadays. And so I was talking about, like, you can't do that. You have to learn from your past. You don't just ignore it or try to block it out. Like, and I was talking about how you make mistakes when you're younger. So that's what they're commenting about, and how we're not the same people we are 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So,
well, there you go. Hey, give it up for
beautiful.
Thomas and Franklin. Way to go. You are the YouTube comment of the day. And we're rolling today. Like, look at all the wonderful people in the chat. I love this. This is great. Master Obi-Wan, Tom's here. Yeah. See, Tom, Brad, you're right. Brad does get it. I mean, oops, there it is right there. Sometimes I click the wrong one. Hey, Nick Sen, guys, this is wonderful. Mushi's here. I love this, guys. Thank you very much for popping in. You guys are legends. Love that. Hey, in addition to the YouTube comment of the day and the Bring It Back Challenge, we also recently started a brand new segment.
Oh, yeah.
Quite possibly, it's going to sweep the nation across the world, and you unite everybody with the simple question of what, Brad?
What are we doing?
Here we go.
we got to have a bumper for that.
Okay,
I got to make a bumper this week.
I agree. Let's start one more time. We're gonna unite the world with the simple question of
what are we doing? So this is what I woke up to this morning. This is the first thing I saw this morning. That's usually what inspires what are we doing. I wake up and I see this. Speaking of dogs and Bill and his beautiful husky, can dogs be racist?
I love that this article is from 1.5 years ago.
Oh yeah. Like children, dogs may pick up prejudices from their caretakers. What are we doing?
What are we doing? Is that all you have?
Look, listen. I saw this article. There was another one right after it that popped up, and it was essentially the same thing. Like, your dog might be racist. I'm like, this is something that you see in like a South Park cartoon where somebody's reading a magazine in the background, and then it says, can dogs be racist? And you go, oh, that's funny. But no, this is a real article. And this is a PhD has done a study on racist dogs. Can we just slow down and just worry about ourselves before we move on to the animals? Okay.
Listen, you're perpetuating hate right now, Brad, and I don't like it. And you know who's going to pick up on it? Duke.
My dog, Duke.
Yes.
I have questions about Duke.
I know.
I think my dog might be racist.
We're gonna let that go there. Katsuna Creations came in a resub in tier 1, says Craig streaming late today unless I've been oblivious. Oh no, this is every night, baby. Me and Brad coming in. It's Weekdays with Craig and Brad, episode 55. We made it! Yeah! Tai came in a resub tier 1 for 6 months, and Vale Cito Chris came in with that prime sub for 5 months. That is awesome. That is so good. Hey, Just Mick came in. By the way, Just Mick came in huge today, supporting the show. Thank you so much for that. Greatly appreciate that. Said we need to grow this community because we need conversation like this. It's awesome. Yes. Says, can the journalist have a hemorrhage in his brain? 5 out of 10. There you
on
go.
Weekdays with Craig and Brad. Hey, did you have one?
I sure do. You want to see it?
Yes, I do.
Hey, it's time for everyone's favorite segment. That's sweeping the world, going to change everything as we know it. It's time for
What Are We Doing?
Valparaiso, the university, is dropping the Crusaders' name, mascot, and logos. Okay, I'm gonna read this article for you really quick.
Okay.
And this is just another example of things getting taken just a little bit too far. Okay. Now, Valparaiso University announced Thursday that it's dropping the team name Crusaders, the school mascot, on all logos associated with the term that it said that has been embraced by hate groups. The decision comes after a decades-long debate that has intensified recently because groups such as the Ku Klux Klan began using this symbol and words. The school's faculty and student senate each passed resolutions calling for the change, and the university's alumni board of directors supported reassuring the appropriateness of the team name. The Crusades were a series of bloody religious wars started in the 11th century between Christians and Muslims. For years, Valpo's mascot has been a helmeted figure in faux armor. The negative connotation of violence associated with the Crusaders' imagery are not reflective of Valpo's mission and values, which promote a welcoming and inclusive community. Interim President, whatever her name is, said, "This is the decision that best reflects our values and community." Okay, so they said they're gonna consider a new name. And student president, by the way, is there anything less awesome than being the student president at a university? I'm just going to throw that out there. Student president Caitlin Steinheiser said the student senate believed the school mascot should represent the university's value and help create school spirit. The creator does not do that effectively, she said. Valpo, this is the key sentence here. Valpo is and always has been a faith-based institution, and we want to make sure our symbolism is in alignment with our beliefs and speaks to the core values of the Lutheran ethos, she said. At Valpo, we strive to seek truth, serve generously, and cultivate hope. We do not believe having the Crusader as our mascot portrays these values. Okay, so this is one of those things where, look, people are starting to, there are bad groups out there that are being called, they're calling themselves Crusaders. And Valpo, they've had this for a long time, and they're out on it, right? Mm-hmm. But I did a little digging, and I just want you to know, so this is like a little bit of social pressure. Okay, social pressure popping in here. It's about making change, right? So I did a little definition on what Crusader actually means according to the dictionary. First one, the Crusader means a fighter in the medieval crusades. That's what they're talking about, right? But the second one here, a person who campaigns vigorously for political, social, and religious change. A campaigner. So it's truly everything that they want to be. It's a person that campaigns for political, social, and religious change, a campaigner. That is what a Crusader is, yet they are changing their name because of this.
Yeah, hasn't there been like 1,000,000,001 different like Crusader clubs like for kids over the years, like Health Crusaders, Sports Crusaders, I don't know. Christian Crusaders, I'm sure there's been a whole bunch of hokey little cartoons out there over the years. Like, oh no, they use the word Crusaders. It reminds me of our high school mascot, the Marauder.
Oh, the Marauder. I think we're the only school in America that had the Marauder name. I legitimately think that's true.
Did they rename it though, or no?
No, they were talking about it for a while. They tried to go like a secondary nickname, the Red Storm.
Oh yeah,
and it got swatted to half court. People like, man, eat a dick.
Marauder, Red Storm. No, yeah, but
I just found it extremely the extreme irony here of a school that wants to get on its high horse and affect change and have political, social, and religious change. That's exactly what their name was, the Crusaders, and now they're going to change it to something dorky like Knights or something. So.
Well, that's interesting because they're doing it because of the Ku Klux Klan is using it, is what they're saying.
Apparently, yeah.
That's interesting to me because if the Ku Klux Klan is that the rule? Like if the Ku Klux Klan guys use any word from our English dictionary and they start using it in their club, like it's just out for us. Like we're not allowed to use it anymore because those jerks using it.
People should probably just stop wearing white altogether.
Yeah, exactly. That's a valid point, right? Like, well, they're really honing in on this white outfit. I am not wearing a white shirt to work anymore. I do not want to be associated with it. Like that's kind of what we're doing. And you mentioned this last night, like all the work that goes into rebranding something. Like really going to spend time hiring a consulting firm, graphics firm, getting new shirts made up, getting all your flags for your school, football jerseys. You got to redo the entire thing, because
Do you-
them jerks over there are using our word.
Hey, do you think it really matters to them? Let me tell you why. Number one, it's tax-free. Education system's tax-free. Number two, in 2019, guess what? They made $191 million in revenue.
All right.
Tax-free. You think they care about that? Come on. Get out of here. Anyways.
Yeah. Well,
Anyways,
what are we doing?
I just saw that and thought, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Like, and you know what? This is 100% right. 100% right. Tai says it gives them the power, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you bend the knee to a horrible organization like that, oh my gosh, look, they're using the term Crusader.
Right.
Like when you're like, oh, and you back off.
You can have it.
Yep.
You go ahead. You have it. Yeah, it's opening the door for them. It's like, here come those jerks. Open the door for them. Let them in.
Right.
Like, let them have it.
It's insane.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So there you go. I just saw that, and look, it's not as blatant as our dog's racist, but it's still. I saw that, and I was like, what are we doing? So,
well, what? There are probably some guys in the clan that have dogs, which if they, now what are we supposed to do? What are we going to own? Parrots?
No,
got to figure out what pets they don't own. Those
Well,
guys are ruining everything.
Those dogs are definitely racist. 100%.
Totally racist.
Yes.
Norm Macdonald has a great stand-up bit about Hitler's dog and how even when Hitler came home, his dog was like, it's Hitler, like the dog was all happy to see Hitler come home. It's hilarious if you have a sense of humor. If you don't, then it won't be funny.
Man, Norm Macdonald, he's seen as so like I always thought he was so dry and stupid, but like looking back on his humor, it's pretty funny.
No, he's absolutely one of the best, and I underappreciated him when we were younger for sure. But
oh man,
he's great.
That's
stuff.
Good. All right, well, let's get into the big story tonight. That is the story of the lady from Mandalorian finally getting the cancel axe. The Twitter mob has caught up, and she has been fired. What's her name? Gina what?
Oh, what's her name?
Gina Carano? Gina Carano. Yes.
Yeah.
She was fired. She was fired for her tweets that she made several months ago that Disney deemed, in her words, let me make sure I read this correctly. Disney said her social media post denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities, which it called abhorrent and unacceptable. That's the reasons why she was fired for her tweets. Which I am so fascinated by the idea of being fired for tweets, right? I've always been fascinated by this.
You got to watch what you say out there. And the key word there is the two key words are abhorrent. And what was the other one?
Abhorrent and unacceptable.
Okay.
Unacceptable.
Those are two important words to keep in mind as we talk about this.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of examples out there, especially under the Disney umbrella, of abhorrent and unacceptable comments made by other people.
Would you like to see her posts? Because I have them pulled up here.
Let's talk about that.
Okay, because her posts are here, and I think it's really important to mention she's never really stated an affiliation politically, at least not that I know of publicly, right? But her opinions have been kind of against the grain, against the narrative that you see on social media, right? That's been pushed. And I think that's really what set people off. And it's when you see her post, we'll just kind of show you. Let me show them to you real quick. Here they are. This is the first one. It says Jews were beaten in the street, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. And it says, because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Okay. And she has a picture here. And this is not like a pleasant picture, right? Let's just be really clear about this. This is not something that's like, oh, okay. And look, I don't like talking about Nazis and the Holocaust, like just like anybody else does. But you can understand, like, if you look at this objectively, if you just look at this objectively without any sort of emotion, you can see what she's saying here, right? She's like, the big statement here. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Okay, let's go back here real quick and take a look at this. Her social media post denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities, which are abhorrent and unacceptable. In this, okay, I'm just want to take this one by one. So real quick, what in here has been said in her post was denigrating people based on their cultural or religious identities? Have you seen anything in here that actually states something in here?
Personally, I don't, because she's just bringing up a part of history.
Right.
She's just referencing a part of history. She's not saying something terrible about Jews. She's talking about something terrible that happened to Jewish people, right?
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. So let's scroll down here and see the second one here real quick. Yeah, and obviously that was deleted. That was deleted, right? And then she came down here and she had another social media post here in early November. She also posted that the need to, quote, fix the system amid early claims the election was rigged against President Trump. We need to clean up the election process so we are not left feeling the way we do today. Put laws in place to protect us against voter fraud. Investigate every state. Film the counting. Flesh out the fake votes. Require ID. Make voter fraud end in 2020. Fix the system.
She could have posted that at any point in history.
Right.
And those are just statements. Let's improve our system.
So, right. And that's, so once again, we'll go back to this. This is why she was fired. Her social media post denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities, which are called abhorrent and unacceptable. I didn't see anything in there. Chacha says she didn't put her pronouns in her bio. Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, that was her other offensive thing she did. I think a lot of the Disney stars were putting their pronouns in their bio, and
here we go. Yes, one of the first firestorms she sparked online came in September when she addressed the pressure to use trans-friendly pronouns instead of updating her Twitter bio with the words beep boop, beep bop boop. She says, "I'm not against trans lives at all. They need to find less abusive representation," she wrote in the since deleted post. So,
and like, I don't know, like that's where your sense of humor is just completely just pounded out of your life, right? Like you can't even look at that and just go, it doesn't have to be your I don't know, your tone of humor. Everybody has different tones of humor.
Especially like when it comes to text, reading humor. Like, look, I'm all about rights for everybody, right? I think I've been very clear on that. I want people to live their life however they need to live, right? If you're trans, great. Like I have no problem with that. I think that's wonderful. I just hope, but I'm just fascinated by that, by the it's the mob mentality that we're seeing right here. So
pull up a doll with a bun. Says, can I just say something? As someone that is non-binary, the concept of enforcing pronouns makes me super uncomfortable. It's great to hear from you. Thanks for commenting.
Thank you, doll.
Yeah.
Doll says, I use the term human.
Right. Like, and I guess my question would be like, as a non-binary human, when you see that, are you able to laugh at it? If somebody makes their pronouns beep, bop, boop, like it's obviously a joke, right? I don't think it's mocking. I think we so easily find ourselves feeling mocked these days, or not, maybe not you and me.
Offended. It's not mocked, it's offended.
Absolutely.
Like, come on.
Yeah, like how could you? It's me. Yeah, that's where it's all coming from. But me.
Yeah. Aiden says, learning history is essential and people need to know know about the subject so it won't repeat itself. I'm a history buff and I love learning about history. That's right. It's important to know history. Absolutely. So anyway, she got fired for those today. And, this was after I think, her fired Gina Carano was trending on Twitter. And Disney said, okay, mob, you win. Right. Because apparently people have been trying to get her canned for months, and it finally, like, it happened on a random Thursday in February, like for no reason, right? It just kind of happened out of nowhere. But the people have been quick to point out the intense word of the week, hypocrisy. That's come. We talked about the NBA's hypocrisy yesterday, and today here we are talking about Disney, my favorite brand in the world. I love Disney World. I love going to Disney. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
But it's heartbreaking, isn't it?
God damn it. God damn it. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Do you have some examples of some of the hypocrisy? I think you pulled some up, didn't you? Did you pull some up?
I was, and then we went live, and I didn't pull them up.
Well, would you like to see one that's pretty amazing?
Yeah.
We talked about James Gunn. All right, James Gunn. He was the guy who he got fired for having some tweets about that were like jokes about little kid diddling and stuff. And there was such blowback from that he actually got rehired. Right. People were like, I'm not working on the next Guardians of the Galaxy, because he was the producer of that show or the director or whatever it was. And people were like, I'm not working on it if James Gunn's not associated with it. So then Disney goes like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So it didn't matter what abhorrent things that he said.
Right.
That's where these words come into play. You know, you got to compare the two. You got to put Gina's comments next to James' comments and go, which one is abhorrent?
I think it would be really good to take a look at this one. I don't know if you've seen this one or not. This is a producer who was a co-producer on Beauty and the Beast. His name is Jack Morrissey. Take a look at this and tell me how this guy has a job. It says hashtag MAGA kids go screaming hats first into a wood chipper.
Wow.
This is a picture that he tweeted out that has obviously since been deleted. But it's just a fascinating look at, this is a guy who brought you the live action version of Disney's Beauty and the Beast. Pretty fascinating.
The live action?
Yes.
Cartoon's still safe for me to like?
I guess. I don't know.
I'll go on record. I do not like any of the live action Disney movies that have come out based on the former cartoons.
You can see the chat is very there's a lot there. And obviously, we talked about Pedro Pascal's tweets. He's the co-star. He's the Mandalorian.
Right.
I think that's one of those things. Let me see if I can find those tweets. Because they are pretty.
They're more offensive than Gina's.
Well,
right.
It depends what side of the the world you live on. So here we go. You can see some of the tweets that he had. I'm going to pull them up really fast. Ooh, I think they've been deleted as well.
The James Gunn tweets, they were supposed to be jokes, but and look, not much offends me, not much upsets me, but when you make a joke about molesting a child, that's where you've crossed the line with me. And I don't have any room for tolerance with it. Like I just can't, So like practically anything else you can joke with me about, I have a lot of breathing room for humor, but like that guy, he had I don't even know, 15, 20 different tweets of the same sort of joke about it. And I'm like, guy.
Well, here we go. Let's take a look at this real fast. And by the way, this is a really great point from CDI Arcade. So I really don't think either of them should be comparing anything to the Holocaust. I don't think there's anything wrong with that statement at all. At all. But here was Pedro Pascal. By the way, I think Pedro Pascal is a phenomenal actor. I loved him in Narcos. He was an actor in Narcos. Phenomenal. I really enjoyed him. He's also the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
This was from June 20th, 2018. This is during the children who were in cages. I'm guessing at the border patrol. He said this is America and Germany, 1944. Obviously at the Holocaust, and you can see a lot of people getting.
There.
What's that?
There's another half of the
yes. It's essentially just children. Let's see. Yeah, so children in cages, and so that's the idea behind it. So
yeah, what's interesting about that picture though? Somebody had fact checked that photo, and the photo on the bottom is from 2010, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had seen that on Twitter today. So
yeah. So obviously people have been pretty upset. Pretty upset about this, and people are tweeting at Disney being like, hey, what the hell? Like, how can you have one stance and not the other, because one is the star and stuff. So
yeah, I think when you that's the thing, when you bring up something like the Holocaust, it's such a delicate conversation.
It's a conversation nobody wants to have, but you have to have,
right.
Like
it's interesting right now because everybody's throwing out the word Nazi.
Oh, I know.
What are they associated with, right? What are they even associated with? Oh, I don't know. The Holocaust, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That's what everybody's implying. Like, so-and-so's a Nazi. So-and-so's a Nazi. What are you implying?
By the way, this episode with the words we're using here, this episode will 100% be demonetized on YouTube. So if you want to go to patreon.com/CraigSkits and support the show, or use bits, or subscribe, or just whatever, we greatly appreciate it. So, anyways,
yeah, like look, it's a fascinating era in time because everybody looks back and goes, gosh, how did that happen? Right. And we've been talking about it as a culture for at least half a decade now. Who's a Nazi over here? Who is over there? Who's over there? Well, we're all heading towards that same place. And a lot of people feel that way now. Like, oh, how do things like that happen? Well, look around you, because it feels like it's happened. That's what a lot of people are saying.
We live in this culture of extremes right now, the extreme left, the extreme right. If you talk about here, right? GK says calling someone a racist or a Nazi is only because is only basically saying I mildly disagree with your opinion, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that, right? It's like, you can be called these horrible things if you don't slightly agree. Like I said, I was for me, my thing down here says Craig's already been canceled, lol, right? I was canceled because I told people I didn't care how they voted. Just don't tell me about how you voted. I don't care. I don't care how you voted. Don't tell me about it. And then I was called a white supremacist because of that. And like the mental, I would say the mental gymnastics to get there was just absolutely fascinating. And these are people who, like, I've had good relationships with, like they know me personally, and they're like, well, he's just a white supremacist. He's a bad person. I'm like, have you ever seen me say anything bad about anybody ever? It's like, wow, you're fascinating. And you are clearly a brainwashed bitch.
That is the most amazing thing in our culture right now, is that someone can know you your entire life. And you've done, like, for instance, with me and my music, right? Like, I put myself into my music 100%. I've never written a song I never felt. I've always put my honest, true self. I never, sat down to write a song that was fake or whatever just to get a hit. And so I've always put my honest, true self. If you listen to my music, you can kind of learn a little bit about me and what my intentions are, especially with kids' music. But so, like, the other day, I get this message from this fan that I've been sort of mentioning here. And all of a sudden, I'm the worst person in the world. Did you know that? I'm just awful. Yeah. Throw these CDs out. They don't mean anything because I said something that doesn't align with what they specifically think. Right. And I even told them, I was like, well, if you looked into your music catalog and you actually got to know every single person in there, you'd have to throw out probably
just throw them all out.
Throw out every single one of your CDs and delete all of your music, because you're going to find something wrong with every single person. We just happen to be Facebook friends, and you're seeing what my thoughts are throughout the day. But like, we got to stop doing that, because there'll be no way, unless somebody's done something completely abhorrent for real. For instance, Disney, a company like Disney, who their whole demographic is children and families, right? And you've got a guy who tweets, "Hey, here's a joke about molesting kids. You fire him. Did a good job there. Don't hire him back." What does that say about your company and your allegiance to your product and your demographic, right? Don't bring him back. No, you cannot bring him back after he makes so many statements.
Well,
Not
Brad,
just one, but 10, and
Brad,
not just 10, 20.
but the actors wouldn't work. They wouldn't make a third movie, and they need to make a third movie. They need to make another $1 billion.
Yeah.
So
But
naturally,
what statement, how much more of a powerful statement would Disney have made if they said, look, we messed up with this. We've got some bad apples on this production, and we're just going to have to close down shop until we can figure out, the right people to get in on this job. How much of a bold, good statement would that have made to their fan base? Wow, you know what? You're right. You're taking a stand. It doesn't matter how talented they are. They've got to stop that. So, yeah, this story is crazy.
Samurai Snake says, times have gotten very sensitive. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Right. It's just to say that to the very littlest. Yes. Iceman says, Brad, can I buy your music on Apple Music? I love for my daughter to hear your music.
You absolutely can. It's on Apple Music, Spotify, all that stuff. Check out the Juicebox Jukebox. That's my kids' music. A little plug for myself here.
That's fine. Right in the middle of Holocaust talk.
It's just horrible. Cancel me right now. And 5 Times August. That's my pop rock music.
Oh,
check it out. But look, you have to have space for humor like that. Just that moment right there. Does that deserve our entire show to be? Do you know what they did?
Do you know what
they
just
were
happened?
Talking about the Holocaust, and in the middle, somebody asked a question and he answered it, and it was completely unrelated. Get them out of here.
It's crazy. Let's see. I want to get some of these comments because these comments are really great. Yeet Ulrich says this podcast should be canceled because you've done over 50 episodes and not once have you mentioned America's sweetheart, Pauly Shore. I don't know if that's accurate. I feel like Pauly Shore's come up once or twice, maybe. But
Pauly Shore did come up because we talked about squeezing the juice.
What's up? There you go, Yeet. Come on, get out of here.
4 episodes in, I remember that.
Yeet Ulrich, you're officially canceled. Sorry about that. Way to go. Way to not watch every single episode. Oh gosh, it's crazy. Yeah. Man, this is nuts. Sonic One of the Hedgehog says, honestly, people can get canceled about anything, even if it's just a small thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As we found out today, Craig, this is how I learned about this story with Gina here, is that cancel culture actually doesn't exist anymore.
I did see this. Yeah.
Cancel culture. What better way to fight against the idea of cancel culture than just say no, it doesn't exist. That's just a thing they put out there to avoid accountability.
I found this guy's Twitter. Because I just was so fascinated by it. I pulled it up, and here it is. The name Lewis Chilton, at Lewis Chilton over here.
Oh, cancel culture, in quotes, as if it's not happening.
It's technically double quotes. I wrote about Gina Carano and Star Wars and cancel culture. Double quotes. Yes, with an upside down smiley face here.
Oh, he's causing trouble on the internet.
But people weren't really happy about that. So I think people are seeing through the insanity here. But
this is a trend. This goes with my conversation I've been talking about. I'm going to mention this one more time. But this fan that I've been in connection with, she says to me in her first message, she says, "I'm throwing out your CDs. I'm removing your music from my library." She says after that, "It's not cancel culture, I promise." And so I think that this is a wave that's starting to come up. This is part of the rhetoric, right? Like, now, how do you fight the idea of cancel culture? Well, you say it doesn't exist. It's not happening. Don't believe your eyes. Now, I just started we did a show a few episodes back. I created a Twitter account. I had it 3 days, 0 followers. It got suspended 3 days in.
Oh, did you get it back yet?
I haven't gotten it back yet.
Oh.
But pretty funny stuff. Don't tell me cancel culture doesn't exist. It's obviously a thing, buddy.
Right. Real quick. This is pretty interesting here. I love this. Samurai Snake came in. The question was asked, what was Gina's tweets? And Samurai Snake says, Gina, compare the Holocaust to our current political climate, a wildly invalid comparison. Let's go back and take a look at these tweets really quick. I think this is really important. We have this conversation. I love that we can have this conversation. Here's the tweet. Jews were beaten in the streets not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could have easily rounded up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone in their political views? Samurai Snake, I legitimately will love to hear your thoughts on this. Can you explain how? The last sentence here. How is this any different than hating someone for different political views, right? I would love to hear your thoughts on that. And look, using the Holocaust is never a good example. Right? We've established that, right? It's not something that nobody should ever compare anything to the Holocaust. That is an event unto itself, and it's a horrific.
But if we're going to make that rule, we have to say nobody can ever use the term Nazi ever again.
I don't know. I don't
think.
Listen, I'm not on Twitter anymore. I don't make these rules.
They're synonymous.
So I would legitimately would love. We actually have a couple of really good conversations going on in the chat right now. We have that one, and then we have GK saying, "Can we talk about how overwhelmingly majority of Hollywood celebs are some truly awful people?" And then Jeremiah said, "Do you know an overwhelming majority of celebrities, or are you making an assumption based on what the media is telling you?" I think it's a great conversation to have, right? I think it's one of those things where you hear things, right? You hear things. Where do you hear them? You hear them on the news. You hear them on Twitter. You hear them from people. You hear stories. You hear rumors, right? You hear all these things about people, right? And there's the common thought process that you should never meet your heroes because you're going to be disappointed. That's the common thought, and it's a real rarity that when people actually meet their heroes, they're like, oh, that was a great experience, because often, you think about like, oh, there's this really charming guy on TV, and then you meet him at a Comic-Con or something, and he's taking a drag with a cigarette. He's like, whatever, I don't even care, and it's kind of one of those experiences, and you hear about those things all the time. You're right. You're both right. GK, I'm sure there's a ton of awful people in Hollywood, right? Tons of horrible people. Jeremiah, you're right too, right? You can both be right in the conversation, and I love that about this. So just to be really clear, go ahead.
Back on her statement, she's talking about. Pull up that last tweet, the last sentence of the thing. She says, "How is that any different than hating someone from their political views?" Well, you're seeing these situations bubble up around the country. You can find videos of people. Not just politically arguing, but it's happening with like COVID, the mandates with COVID, right? People yelling at each other because they're not wearing masks, and these confrontations that happen.
Right.
Neighbors telling on each other, especially in the New York area, where you actually see police bust in to certain apartments, or there are actually Orthodox Jewish gatherings that are happening in New York. That have been broken apart because too many people were gathering under the mandates, right? So there is some relation there. I mean, it's hard not to ignore it that these things are happening. These are people that are trying to have a gathering, a religious gathering, and somebody has narked on them. A neighbor has told you could use the word, the Gestapo came in and broke them up, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not too far off. Now, I don't want to make that comparison, but I'm saying I can see where the comparison would come up from.
Here we go. Jeremiah, I'm going to get a couple Jeremiah things here real quick. He says, I see tons of horrible people when I go to the grocery store. Really? How do you know? Do you know them, Jeremiah? I'm just curious because you can't make assumptions like GK did, right? And then he followed up and says the difference between in the last sentence of the tweet, they're rounding up Jews to systematically slaughter them. She's comparing that to political disagreements. It's ridiculous. And a brand that manages multi-million dollar franchise made a decision not to hire her. But they didn't feel the need. Let me pull up that tweet one more time just so the MAGA kid being thrown
right.
Right.
Yeah.
There it is right here. The wood chipper, right? This is the co-producer. And please, Jeremiah, once again, I love your input here, man. Love it. What's really better? They're both pretty horrible things, and one has a job, the other one doesn't. So it's just pretty fascinating. So Hal says she was comparing neighborly paranoia. It's a common phenomenon in the onset of any totalitarian regime, right? Right, and I think it really kind of comes down to the perspective that you look at the tweet in a 280 characters or less. Which, if we can all agree that most of the world's drama comes from Twitter. If we could just get off Twitter, everything would be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. And again, like they got rid of James Gunn, right move to do, right? But wrong move to do, hire him back. And so, it's their decision as the company to do so. But what company is it? It's Disney.
Jeremiah followed up with says, okay, so that guy should be fired too. Should this guy be fired for comparing Nazi Germany to America in 2018? Because these people were going to be systematically, put together and slaughtered.
Those people,
right?
Almost you can be guaranteed died in a horrible way. It's a very sad picture.
Right.
To think if you zone in on that picture, that's a horrible picture to sit there and look at.
Because this tweet came from the star of the Mandalorian. So I guess the Mandalorian's over now. So, and Jeremiah says, "Okay, Craig, you win. Cancel everyone. Cancel everyone." Look, I'm just I'm not about canceling everybody. I'm about just if you're gonna have a set of standards, have a set of standards for everyone. Make the bar even. Don't keep moving the bar. That's the biggest thing here. You can't keep moving the bar up and down based off your bottom line, but apparently I guess you can. So let's see real quick.
Cancel it all the things.
Avocado Captain came in and says they also reported that Gina was told multiple times to chill out, and she continued to be a brand risk. The tweet you showed is now just one example I've seen. Was he posted multiple time brand risks as or could be told? It's pretty much just like she was warned. She was warned. Mm-hmm. Did she say anything in the last few days? Because I've not seen anything about that. I've not seen anything about anything she said in the last few days. At least that has not been reported. And I would look at her. Let's see if I can find her Twitter real quick. What's her name? Gina Carano. Let's see. Let's just do a real quick glance. I think this is important to see if she actually posted anything in the last little bit, because I don't know. Here it is. Because let's see. Today is what? Today's the 11th. So let's see. She was on the Babylon Bee podcast. So let's see. What is this?
How did you do that?
I don't know what this is. What is this?
It's neon lights, Craig.
Oh, Jeff Epstein did not kill himself.
Well,
okay.
I think we can all hopefully agree on that. There's nothing to argue there.
Teach your children to fact and fact checkers. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, yeah. So I'm just trying to see what happened. The idea of cooling it. I don't know what is brand safe nowadays. What is I think that's the bigger question. What is brand safe? Who the hell knows? Who knows?
Yeah. I'll tell you what's not brand safe. Well, we've already discussed it. I don't even want to pull these up. I pulled up all of James Gunn's tweets that somebody put it, but I feel like if you share a screenshot of what these are, we're going to get this episode will get a strike on it on YouTube. So I don't even want to. And that speaks volumes, right? Because
sure.
Because if I don't want to put up what James Gunn said, but we're willing to put up what Gina has said, maybe just to us, there's a little evenness there. I can't speak anymore.
Right. Right. Hal says silence is brand safe. The sound of silence. Right.
No. Silence is complicity now. You have to pick
Good
a
point.
side.
Good point.
No. You can't be quiet. You have to make your voice heard. This is why I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but Jeep made a controversial commercial with Bruce Springsteen, right? That came out.
I didn't see it. I don't know.
I don't know what the message was, but they apparently had like made some sort of social comment about things, and then lo and behold, comes out Bruce Springsteen got arrested for driving while intoxicated, and just a few days later, which doesn't bode well for the Jeep brand, right? But
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Again, though, real quick though, that story is interesting because the Springsteen got arrested for the DWI in November, I think. So
Okay.
Jeep knew about this, but still put out their commercial with the boss on it and promoted their brand, right? But again, Jeep's not necessarily a kid family focused brand.
Right.
I think that's what makes this such an interesting story with the Star Wars franchise and Disney.
Now, let me just say this. We have some really great conversations going in the chat. Okay. And I want to remind everybody that we're adults here. Okay. We're adults. We have civil conversation about important topics, right? Important topics that people are afraid to talk about. And it's important that you respect the people that you speak to. I'm not seeing anybody disrespecting anybody, but I just want to remind everybody to continue to respect everybody. And just because somebody has a different opinion than yours, that's totally fine. Look, conversation is about a free-flowing form of ideas, right? It's not about changing somebody's mind. Okay. That's not what we're trying to do. It's not debate class. It's just, you want to be able to hear other people's thought process. And that's what this show is entirely about. So please, obviously, keep things civil. And I greatly appreciate you guys doing that while we go. I want to get here real quick. There's a few thoughts. Let's see, where was it? Oh man, I had one pulled up a second ago. Devorn says, if you cancel everything, there'll be no more cancel culture. That's right. For sure. That's one for sure. And Driven by Sin, thanks so much for the 300 bits. Greatly appreciate that. That's awesome. Sean says, don't say your real opinions online. You're grand if you stay so privately without any precedent around. Right. For sure. But yeah, it's oh well, we'll keep going. Go ahead, keep on going. Sorry.
If I like that last comment, if you cancel everything, there'll be no more cancel culture. But cancel culture doesn't even exist.
Right.
This is where like the absurdity of our times are overlapping and creating nothingness, because obviously things are getting canceled, things are getting accounts are getting suspended. There's so many Twitter accounts getting removed, congressmen, big accounts. A lot of them are right-wing political figures, right? And you could argue that that's showing bias on Twitter's part, right? How many on the left side of the aisle are being removed? And there's a whole debate there, but it's obvious people are getting removed for speaking certain things, right? That's obvious. You can't argue against it except by saying cancel culture doesn't exist.
Right. Let's go back here real quick. We're talking about the tweet, the Gina Carano tweet. Once again, I just want to show it one more time. And Captain Agent came in with the statement, says that is a gross misrepresentation of what she said. She compared the lead up to the Holocaust to our current political climate. The term Holocaust never appears in her tweet. She points out in the beginning of the tweet that she is referencing the beatings done by citizens, not soldiers. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah,
right.
She's talking about citizens turning on each other, which is what I was kind of referring to when I was talking about what's happening around the world. Is people are calling in on each other, reporting, there's more than 5 people at my neighbor's house, for Thanksgiving. Can you come break it up? Because I'm scared.
Right.
That stuff's happening. It truly is. We are turning on each other. And that's a shame.
Hal says, Craig, you know who else had conversations? Hitler.
Easy,
Hal.
What are we going to do now? But did he? Can we really prove that? Or did he just demand things until he got his way? That's not really a conversation.
I'm not really down with having Hitler conversations on the show, right? To be totally honest with you. So
Back it up. Can't go down that road.
no.
Yeah, there's a lot of things but we should feel free to have that conversation, right? I
Yeah,
was
sure.
referencing the Norm Macdonald joke earlier, right? His whole special was called Hitler's Dog, and it led up to that joke, which was one of the funniest moments. And could he have that stand-up special today in 2021? It's only a few years old, but probably not, you know.
So Dahl comes back, says, social justice warrior is bad. Wanting justice for all members of our society is somehow sneered at. Nope. Hush that noise. Listen, I don't think there's anything wrong about that at all. Like, I think everybody should want justice, right? But sometimes you're the way you deliver your message can be done in a more effective way, right? You know, and I think that's one of the hurdles that social justice folks have when it comes to, you know, delivering their message. You can deliver your message in certain ways and have it not be delivered. You know, you can just totally avoid it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem is like everybody wants what's good for each other, but we're all confused about the right way to go about it. And there's a lot of people that think that it has to be specific. And if we don't get it right, then the rest of all of time of humanity is going to be just messed up, and we have to do it now.
Right.
Now's the time.
Right. You know, there's no blanket solution here, right? We talk about COVID all the time and how the idea of like, well, let's just lock everybody in and COVID will go away, right? But COVID affects everybody differently, right? So we're going to go in and just have a blanket solution, and that obviously has not worked, and it will not work, right? So it doesn't make sense to just have these blanket indoctrinations, these blanket rules for, you know, making everything all right. It's just different strokes for different folks. It's a pretty fascinating saying that holds up in every walk of life. So.
Yeah, that's the most amazing thing is that you're talking about a blanket, a blanket to cover all of humanity everywhere in the globe.
Right.
Like if everybody just followed these rules, every single person in every nook and cranny of the world just followed these specific rules, we would all be so much better. How are you going to do that?
Vegas Donkey says, I'm on the verge of launching a new company I've been building for the past year, and I'm completely removing myself from social media for fear of someone not liking something I say or trying to cancel my business, even though nothing I could say could relate to the actual product we are selling. Vegas Donkey, do you like that free speech? Because you don't have it. You don't have it. If you're fearing what you want to say, you don't have free speech. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it's rough. It's rough. So, you know, Dahl said several times Dahl was talking about the idea of talking about you know, pretty much guilty until proven innocent. That concept. Then followed up with this is, so back in 2010, my ex was in the news due to his sentencing. The news outlets that ran the story had comment sections. I sat and read people calling me all sorts of things. I was pushed to a breaking point, ended up stockpiling pills and clawed at my own face as I didn't want to be me anymore. Right. That's scary stuff, Dahl. That is scary. And knowing you now, as I know you, that makes me incredibly sad. But I'm glad you're in a better place, though. Mm-hmm. So much for sure.
Sorry to hear that.
Avocado Captain says, do you believe in free speech? Of course I do. 100%. I think it's supposed to be numero uno in the Constitution. Yes, of course I believe in free speech. I think people are like, well, should you let people, you know, there was a comment earlier. It was, let's see if I can scroll back up and find it. It was very early. And the idea was if you're, I tried to get to it, but you were in the middle of something. Mm-hmm. It was basically if your neighbor, oh, here you go, right here. Tai says, so if my neighbor thinks gay people are going to burn in hell or that they should go to a conversion therapy, is that okay? What if they don't like non-white people? Like, what is the line of disagreement? And then I looked for Ty's second, and I couldn't quite find it real quick. Oh, there it is. If my cousin had this issue because she said such hateful things about gay people under the excuse of religion. I'm gay. She knows it, and she thinks all deserve to burn in hell. Tai, that sucks, right? But I think that kind of falls in line with the idea of people can think how they want to think, right? I think that they're a piece of shit for thinking that way, right? So, that's my stance on it. It's okay for me to think that. I think they're probably going to die and burn and go to hell and burn in hell, right? That's my thought, So the thing about free speech is you got to take the good or the bad, People have to be able to think the way they're going to think, and people are going to think really shitty things, and people are going to think some wonderful things, right?
Yeah.
But you absolutely have to take the good, the bad. So,
yeah, it's hard when it's somebody that you're close to, somebody that and that creates a difficult moment, I think, where you have to figure out whether or not you're going to remain close to them, because if they're really causing you harm or making you feel like crap, then it might be time to figure out how to remove them from your inner circle, or really just do your best to just accept each other. No, even though, we use the phrase, like go to hell quite a lot in our society. If, obviously I'm not going to understand how you feel when something like that is said to you, that you're going to go to hell. Like, I wouldn't want that said to me. So I completely understand. But if somebody I loved said that to me, or somebody I was close to, you really have to sit and think on that. But then you also have to realize that those people are going to be out there, whether it's somebody you're close to, or it's somebody, there's thousands and thousands of people that think a certain way. You're not going to heal all those people's minds. And so that's the weird thing about society right now.
what would you like?
We're trying to fix everybody, right? Like, you're not going to fix every single person out there that thinks different than you, or that makes you feel hurt.
And fix them to what?
Right. To whatever your idea is of fixing, right? Every single person, every one of us has a different idea of what is the right way to live. And we're all trying to encapsulate all of the rest of humanity into this idea. And that's what's getting us into so much trouble these days.
So Avocado Captain followed up about the the idea of do I believe in free speech, and says, so do you not ban anyone in your chat? We rarely ban people, right? And the only time we really ban people is when they're just trolls or coming in and say things that are truly inappropriate. And this chat is not the United States, right? Now, obviously, we give people opportunities to speak all the time, right? But if they come in looking to harm people, right, specifically, and saying really negative things, yeah, of course we'll ban them, right? Because this is not a place for that. And we're very open about that, right? People can say whatever they want, right? But if they're coming in, saying hateful things, we very quickly know who these people are. The good thing about this is that most of the people who are chatting, the vast majority of people who are chatting, are people who are on a regular basis, and we trust you guys to make good decisions and have those conversations, because that's what this is all built about. So
yeah,
like Christian Armstrong hit the follow button. Thanks, Christian.
Nice. You can usually pick those people out. They come in and they're just hacking away with cut downs and anger. A lot of times the anger is riding on top of their comments, and you can feel it, and they're just causing trouble. And there's no room for that. Usually a sane person will say, look, I'm not trying to cause any trouble here. This is just my perspective. I'm really curious about it. This is my comment. So yeah, you guys are doing a great job keeping it civil.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's very important. You guys doing a pretty good job. Yeah, for sure. I see. Let's see. I'm just kind of getting a little bit of a taste of everybody here. Canteen Girl comes in and says, cancel culture is destroying the ability for people to stop, reflect, and rehabilitate through creative expression. I wonder how much honest expression we are losing in art, music, comedy, etc., because people are fearful of being canceled for a mistake. Right. That's a scary thought. Really, if you think about that, all the paintings, all the Photoshop art, the music, that TV, whatever that you can't say because someone's going to be canceled. It's things like what happened today are the scary things. The idea of I think it's just fascinating that look, on the internet, someone will always be offended. Someone will always not like your take, always, right? And and it simply comes back to the idea of like, well, I'm going to get my friends to not like it too. And oh my gosh, can you believe they said that? And then very quickly it snowballs, and then Disney fires you. So pretty fascinating stuff. So yeah.
Avocado Captain said, so you're fine with banning people for saying lies, rude, offensive, hateful things, trying to stir up drama. Isn't that all Twitter does? Well, this isn't Twitter.
Yeah, it's not Twitter.
This is something we can control, and I think that like you worry about your own house, right?
Well, it's funny because on that same note we talked about that goes along with what we talked about yesterday with the that's the argument that the NBA is seeing is like, we're going to worry about our own house before we worry about China, and that's their argument, right? But I think comparing, I could see people saying like, well, you said this yesterday, when you're saying this today. I think they're told it's not apples to apples. It's an apples to oranges. This is a free flowing conversation with 73 people watching right now who are open to having conversation, whereas Twitter is just a giant cesspool of hate and the groupthink. And that's not what this is. This is people who want to actually have a conversation and talk about these things.
Yeah. And so Avocado Captain followed that up with, so you want to control everything. No, not everything. We're just keeping an eye out for just things,
Right.
That's all. It's not controlling everything,
I think we have about as little control over this as anybody does, right? I think our mods are extremely lenient, right?
Yeah.
You have to have, there's a difference between wanting to have control and having standards. There's a big difference there. You can have standards, and that's exactly what we have. The standards is you don't come in and you don't hate on people. You don't be a jerk to people. You treat people with respect. That's the standard. It's a very simple standard. If you can't maintain it, then you're not welcome. It's very simple.
Well, we're not really controlling anything. Avocado Captain's now causing a conversation with me. You just said because we can control it. I'm talking about we can't control Twitter. We can't control large groups and masses of people. If this becomes a thing where thousands of people are watching us every night, we're probably just going to let the chat roll anyway, because we're not, like these things. It's the internet, people. It goes by so fast that if you want to zone in on something and pick apart these words, then go ahead and do it. You're going to make yourself miserable. But by tomorrow, and I don't know, 60 seconds, you're on to the next thing. So
right.
just let it roll,
Because here's the thing, right? Avocado Captain, you're trying to point out like hypocrisies here, and that's fine. But in about 10 minutes when this show ends, you're not going to remember this at all, this conversation. You're going to be done. You're going to just be like, okay, and you know what? We're going to forget about the conversation, and we're going to be like, okay, cool, whatever. And we're all going to move on. And that's fine. It's fine. We have standards. So
I think it's one thing to remove somebody from a social network, right? But it's another thing to go like, look, we're going to can you from this entire company. You got to get out, and we're going to make sure you never work again.
Right.
And we're going to make it hard for you to make a living. Right. Like, what's the threshold here? How far do you take offense to a stupid online comment? Right. Like, right. Can we just go on record? Every comment made on Twitter ever has been stupid.
There you go. Right.
Hey, can you ever go like, can you ever do this? I was thinking back to that tweet from February 4th in 2010, and like, it's not that important. You can't ever recall back to the tweet like it changed your life forever. You know what I mean?
Oh man!
Unless you got fired for it.
Jay Rome came in and gifted a tier 1 sub to Mad Hatter. Mad Hatter, it's great to see you for sure. Welcome back. And Potato Pat came in and resub Prime for 5 months. It's funny. GK says constitutional free speech promises the government will not suppress speech, but this means companies and streamers chats can suppress any. Constitutional free speech promises the government will not suppress speech, but this means companies and streamers chat can suppress any speech they want. When people advocate for fines and jail time for speech is when it goes too far, right? Daddy Quack came in and says, I recently watched the new Saved by the Bell, and it was constantly racist. Literally every episode had something about race. But it was the liberal racism that is somehow okay. I only saw the first episode and I was like, okay, I'm good. You know, I tried to Did you give it a shot? Didn't you say by the bell?
Did not bother. I knew it was not going to be anything to my liking. I could just tell.
Right.
I'd rather just it's like I could spend how long was the episode? 30 minutes?
Yeah, like 30 minutes. Yeah.
I could spend 30 minutes watching a new show that's based on one of my old favorite shows, or I could just watch a rerun of one of my old favorite shows. How am I going to spend that time? I'd rather just watch an old episode.
So I'll tell you, let's finish up here. We're almost done, but I do want to point out, Avocado Captain, once again, I encourage these. I want these conversations to happen. It says, hold on, let's see. Here we go. Brad, if you have someone you work with and they make an offensive statements that makes you and your brand look bad, you ask them several times to stop, but they keep going. Would you fire them?
Well, it depends on several things. Do I know them? You know, how long have I known them in my life? What offensive statement was it? How bad is it making my brand look? You know, is it something that I could sit down and talk to them about extensively and say, look, you know, like did Gina get a last warning, right? Was she like, look, we've told you 2-3 times now, you got to stop. And then she go, screw that, I'm still going to comment. Like there's a lot of factors in there that you have to consider. You know, on the surface, yeah, you fire them, right? Like we can't have that. Sorry, you got to go on the surface, but you can't just make it a yes or no statement, right? Like this idea of absolutes. I just need a yes or no answer, right? Would you fire him? Well, I don't know. What's the real circumstance behind that question, right? I'll cross that bridge when I get there, you know, if I ever get there. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Is me being on this show making one of my other brands, you know,
right.
Who knows? Do I need to fire myself?
Right. Shut up. But apparently it was okay. So apparently, based off multiple reports, so she got several warnings confirmed by multiple people. Okay, cool. With that said, I'll go back and say what I said before. You have standards, right? You have standards across the board. Here's your bar. If you cross the bar, you're gone, right? If you get up to the bar and we have a conversation and you still cross the bar, you're gone, right? My thing is like, where's the bar? Is the bar here for her and here for somewhere else, for someone else? Just make the bar here. That's all this is about. Keep the bar level, right? I think that's the fairest way you can do it. That's all we want. We want to talk about equality and being fair. Make the bar level for everybody, right? And that's the big thing with this is the bar is not level for everybody. You know,
you've got other examples to compare it to for sure.
Right. You know, we talked about this tweet. Is this level? Right. I don't think that's very level.
Yeah. You know, explain who that was again for anybody that missed it.
If you just popped in, this is the co-producer of Disney's Beauty and the Beast live action right here. Mm-hmm. So talking about tossing kids in a wood chipper. So that's
lower. That's lower on the bar for Disney than the things that Gina said.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, I guess. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
They'll still hire that guy for the next live action remake.
Right. So yeah, you know, it's funny, and Avocado's going pretty hard here. I'm going to continue the conversation real quick, and then we'll wrap up. He's talking about James Gunn. He says, but if you did 5% of responsible reporting, first off, we never said we're reporters. You'd see that
I'm not a journalist.
You said he made those statements over a decade ago and apologized almost 10 years before he was canceled. So yes, he shouldn't have been fired because he showed remorse years before it was ever an issue. Has he made any other tweet like that? I'd be curious to know if this is the one and done thing after they said, hey, stop. You know, this is actually a really, really great thing. This is actually a really, really great thing because Brad is of the stance of like James Gunn should be fired. See, Brad's bar is here, right? The idea of like, you know, you make a joke about diddling with kids, right? Whether it's 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ago, or yesterday. Brad's bar is you talk like that, you're gone, right? My bar is like, okay, that's funny. I understand it. He apologized, right? And that's really what it comes down to, right? But this is not this show this show is two brothers who have different opinions on things. And you know what? I respect Brad's opinion on that, but Brad's also not the one in charge of hiring and firing James Gunn. It's a board of directors somewhere that has to deal with making a decision about a multi-billion-dollar franchise, right? And so we're lucky in that situation, right? Hopefully there's not a situation where we're ever working with somebody and we have an editor or something like that, and they make a comment like that, and then guess what? Brad and I are going to figure it out, and we're going to have to walk and talk through it to figure out what a solution would be, like civilized adults. So,
yeah.
Anyways. There you go. Okay, look, we've got an hour. God damn it, we got an hour and 20 minutes. All right, we're going way too long.
This used to be the show you could watch while you took a crap on the toilet. It was 20 minutes. It was in and out. We were good. Look what we're doing. You got freaking 3 or 4 episodes in this talk. What are we doing?
That's crazy. All right,
we're going to be the subject of our next. What are we doing?
What are you doing? We got to cancel ourselves right now. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. You guys have an excellent night. If you're watching over on YouTube, please head over to twitch.tv/CraigSkits. Right now, I stream Monday through Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. And this week, I'm actually doing a world record attempt. Again, on Super Mario 35, trying to break my own world record. If you guys enjoy this, please head over to patreon.com/CraigSkits. It's a great way to support the show because I know this show is not going to be monetized. I'll tell you that much. And make sure you subscribe if you're watching over on YouTube. Really, really appreciate it. And Twitch, of course. We appreciate all the resubs over there. Guys, have a great day. Alan says, this is one of my favorite episodes. Well, thanks, Alan. Spread the word and let people know, because shows like this do not last without your support. They do not last. Open conversation is not something that's welcome on the internet, and we cannot do these shows without your support. So thank you guys very much for your help. We'll see you guys on, I guess we'll see what happens. Probably on Sunday night when we record episode 56. I hope we make it.
There's a weird van waiting for me outside, I think. It's been getting creepy around these parts. Y'all have a good weekend.
All right, see you guys later.